The example that comes to mind, I think about a family who were in business together. Grandpa had started the company, and then he passed the business to his son, and the son co-owned the business with his siblings. And the son was successful in building this multi-outlet retail operation. The dad, who was leading the company, was unhappy with having his 7 siblings also as co-owners. And so over time, quite appropriately, he managed to buy them each out of the business so that he could own and manage the company. An entirely positive, entirely appropriate thing to do. He was able to pay his siblings fair value, and he was able to run the company. Pruning the tree, people call it. Those who don't manage or work in a business shouldn't own. So that became part of his belief system. So when he passed the business to his 3 children, 3rd generation, 1 of them worked in the business and 2 didn't. But Mom and Dad believed that those who didn't work in the business didn't know anything about anything. And therefore what Dad said was that the one who worked in the business, even though only a 1/3 owner, should be responsible to make all the decisions. I talked to Mom about this because after Dad passed away, he left all the voting shares to Mom. And she said, well, I'm going to do whatever my daughter who works in the business thinks we should do, because the other 2 don't work in the business, so they don't know anything. I think that was a slight exaggeration. So I sat down with Mom in her 80s and said to her, what are you planning to do in your will? She said, well, I'm going to leave all the voting shares to my daughter because she knows what's best for the company. And I said to her, I think that's an inherently unstable arrangement. You're going to have the 66% owners of the company who are going to be controlled by the 33% owner who's not only going to be managing the company, but she's also going to have all the voting control of the company. And she said, well, that's how it should be because she knows what's best. And I said, well, why don't we think about perhaps having some sharing of power and authority, some division of power. So she was going to put all of the power and authority in the manager's hands. So we talked about it, and she said, well, it'd be good to have a board of directors, but I think my daughter who runs the company should choose the board. And unfortunately, I was unable to assist her in realizing that this arrangement was likely to lead to chaos in the future. And sadly, after she passed away, the kids broke the whole thing apart because the 2 owners who owned 66% of the company wanted to have some influence over the direction of the business, some influence over dividends, some influence over who would be on the board. And the managing partner, so to speak, had all the voting control. And so tragically, the business was lost to the family, and the relationships were all lost as a result.